My name is Mazi Ezoke, and as a fallout of the SARS protest, as many of you are aware, some of you were participants, and all of us globally were in support of the end SARS protest, as it is that we saw a couple of our brothers and sisters being maimed unjustly, being killed. And recently, following the destruction that ravaged many states, in particular Lagos State, some people are now promoting reprisal attacks. And we believe this is not the issue and how this whole campaign started. It was a well-intended campaign that was anchored on the demand to stay alive, because not many people will know what it means that for someone to say, we are on the street to stay alive. We are tired of being killed indiscriminately. So last couple of days, we've basically had some interventions where it anchored on how do we de-escalate the tensed situation. And it is our belief that your insights as victims, as participants, survivors, that it will help us determine ways to avert further danger. Therefore, that is the reason why we've scheduled this meeting today, and which is called NSAS, the Lekki-Shooting. It's basically nothing else but a conversation of people who are somehow affected, that is victims, survivors, participants, and witnesses, those who witnessed what happened. We've read where the state government has denied, I mean, we've read all these things, and even the military saying that the military never went to Lekki, and which I personally found, I found it a little bit upsetting, to say the least, because we are talking about our brothers and our sisters. We are talking about people, our friends that we've lost. And here here we have a state saying, oh, the military wasn't involved. Oh, there was no light. The lights weren't turned off. That NEPA took light. Listening to all these things, it beggars belief to think, how did we get here? Then suddenly, in the midst of trying to comprehend what is happening, suddenly we have the other narration that says, oh, this is done by certain people. This is not actually a pan-Nigerian action. It was done by certain people or engineered by certain people to destroy the properties of some other people. And I think, the conversation here will help us begin to understand better what has happened. For those of us that are still traumatized, I mean, one of our sister here, she was still traumatized. And I know a couple of times I've spoken to her, trying to encourage her, obviously, hopefully in the next couple of days, we would seek ways we can help, maybe with therapy or whatever that is. So I think to start this conversation, I have here Robert Demilade. Is that correct? Sorry, did I pronounce the name correct, Robert? If you can unmute yourself.
Yes, that's correct. Demilade.
Okay, Demilade. Thank you very much. So, Robert, I'm going to bring you in. Just please, I can see you do not have your camera on, but it's also fine because obviously I need to, before I let you speak, I need to say this. We had so many people who were victims who also took part in this protest, suddenly who agreed to come, but now suddenly backed out. I am aware that the government is beginning to play funny, to those individuals. So go ahead, Robert, if you can. Thank you very much.
Um, Hello. How's it
Yes,
going?
we
Good
can now.
afternoon.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Bless you. So we can see you now. So please, um, go ahead.
So, um, here's here's my story. It was my wedding anniversary, the weekend the protest started. I was I was at a getaway spot with my wife, and I was watching on social media when at first Mr. Macaroni had gone, I think, to Alausa, just to get some answers. And he had spent the night there, sleeping on the ground, and I was motivated because I'm also a victim of SARS. My wife and I, one night at 2 a.m., we were coming home from a Game of Thrones viewing party and season finale. So a bunch of us friends had gathered and put together like a Game of Thrones viewing party. And so we were going home about 2 a.m. We were stopped by this small van. Six men came out in mufti, all of them. Three of them were in uniform. They had guns, asking us questions. We were answering, showed all my credentials for the car, everything. Looked at my wife, dragged out of the car, said what's in her bag. She, of course, she refused to show them the bag. Like, look, that kind of demand for it was like, just touch my bag and everything. So, anyway, they separated us, drove her away from me after we like followed them. They took us to an ATM. They took money from us. So, it was just a traumatizing event. So I felt motivated, and one day I was going home, and that was when they had blocked the Lekki toll gate. So I actually couldn't get home. So I just said, you know what, let me just park and see what's going on here. So I joined the protest. I just said that there were a lot of people there, just basically united with the same thing, just making the demands that like they just want to be able to just live freely and walk around and everything. So same. I had joined cleaning with my friend Amaka. I joined cleaning, picking up trash around so that we don't. So I mean, we didn't want to leave a mess. So a bunch of us knew. There were about 200 of us who started just cleaning and started requesting for dustbin bags and gloves and masks and took up cleaning. So that was my station throughout the entire protest. I was basically just sending up bin bags and gloves and everything. So at some point, I joined the security team that set up barriers. So like, okay, you know what, we can't be allowing cars near the protest grounds, trying to curb the sale of alcohol because of their children and pregnant women that are there. So we're trying to put some sense and sensibility to the place because if we're going to disrupt the city of Lagos, we can't turn it into a jamboree. We need to be serious. They need to know that we're serious and basically just pitching emotion, don't lose focus. Like it's a peaceful protest, so educating the guys on the ground, telling them that there's no need to fight. It's unity. We all want one thing, a better Nigeria. So it was all peaceful and that. And of course, when things started breaking out on the mainland in Seoul area and things like that, so also, so also like on the security side, we're like, look, how can we disperse this crowd? Let everybody retreat. I mean, we were already talking about this a few days before Tuesday, but because there was no one person that everybody was listening to, and we were all like in the same thing, we were all leaders of this thing, so we were trying to find out a way to disperse the crowd. Of course, when the curfew was announced, it was actually very welcome. So we had told the screen guys, we had told the vendors, the food guys, so everybody had packed up their canopies and things. I'd even called the owner of the stage and the owner of the sound that look, get the stuff from there. That there's a curfew, we need to respect it because the government has actually respected the process. So, but nothing was going to get those guys from those grounds because on those grounds they had felt the most love and hope and respect and sense of inclusion ever in their lives and anywhere else they've ever been. These are the grassroots people. They ate 4 times a day. There was a surplus of water and drinks and love and activity and education. It was so much for them. They knew at that point, they knew what their right was. So of course, at that point, they said, look, we'll wave the Nigerian flag, we'll sing the Nigerian anthem. They knew. They knew. I personally tried everything to get at least a lot of people away from the grounds because if you know Lagos very well, things were about to erupt with the street gangs and the police, and everything was just going to go haywire. And I can't say I'm doing okay. I drove past the toll gate today going to church. I shed some tears. I had we had formed a community of cleaners with all the like people on the ground. Um, everybody was known as my guy, so everybody's our guy. Just like a community of about 200 of us. So the people who, so we had tents donated. So people who had from the culture of sleeping overnight obviously were there, and they were just sending me voice notes saying that don't worry, we're here, we're not gonna die. I was just like, what's going on? Everybody, all volunteers were accounted for. They are hanging in there. They're not injured. This is the cleaning team now. So moving forward, we realized that Tuesday morning because we had spent like about 5 to 6 hours trying to educate about 300 to 400 guys who had formed their own form of protest. Now, these are the downfall guys in that area. They have formed their own form of protest. That, look, we're going to block all the areas. There's no work. There's no movement. So, like, yo, guys, you can't actually just come out and say there's no work. There's no movement. Like, no, that's a different focus. We're focusing on one thing. So let's all go back to grounds. Like you can't just allow people who are going to work because some of these people that are going to the companies are giving us food. They're giving us sponsoring our money and our water and everything. So they've even given their workers half day to join the protest. So that thing, so there's a synergy of things, but these are people who don't have smartphones and not on social media. So there was a disconnect, and that morning, trying to speak to because I was on my bicycle going from like the new market to Lekki phase one to Lekki phase one to all the way to Lekki toll in the Lekki Koito. We must have spoken to about 400 guys and started like driving them back to the main focus grounds. Like, look, there's a focus and it has to remain peaceful. Don't block the roads. So at that point, when the curfew was announced, it was very welcome. Like, look, okay, everybody just needs to just go back in and let's give it. So we were on that level, and it's so painful because we were about to preach that to the crowd that day. That look, uh, I'd spoken to one of the guys on the stage that look, let's start forming like a match pass back into Lekki, just like having a match pass. Like let's teach the crowd that for marching is also a form of protest. So let's march away from here, And then of course, there was no way they were going to charge at the toll because there are no more computers and things like that. So even if you give the government about 2 weeks, so we're going to just educate them a little bit more. And then hashtag Lekki massacre. Everything just so confusing right now, and I keep trying to tell people, look, I'm not a journalist. My focus right now is the solution moving forward, telling the grassroots people, no, sorry, wow, I can't believe I just said that. Telling the friends of the grassroots that look, we are one. Destruction is not the way. This is not how we do things. It doesn't solve any problems. The BRT buses belong to you. All that's good stuff and enlightenment. But I believe there's an awakening of a generation. There's an awakening of in every generation there are kings, and every king has to have a kingmaker. So I believe having a collective psychological trauma has awoken a generation to take charge. Everybody's talking about how we need to start doing some help. Where can we help? Where can we help in showing? Because for the first time, they're saying, come. So us and these guys that drive cars actually have the same problems of oppression. For the first time, they felt it. They felt that okay, on some level, we share the same pain. And then someone told me, oh, my barber told me was like, oh, that word on the streets in some areas is that if lucky people can get killed. that means we have no hope. Let's scatter everywhere.
So so they
That
see
is
the
not.
Lekki, so they see the people, the Lekki people as superhumans. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I haven't done too much introspection on their perspective. Like it's, I don't know. There's there's so much to unpack with the ripple effects. There's so much to unpack with the ripple effects, with the revelation. There's so much to unpack with the ripple effects, and I believe. I mean, I know that I believe. I know right now that a bunch of people I'm talking to now, the conversation right now is the ripple effects need to be fixed.
So,
The how did we
Robert,
get here and moving forward. Yeah.
okay, Robert, if I come back to you, the day the Lekki incident happened, you said you were there. So, at what sort of time did you leave?
Oh, as soon as so I got to the grounds. I actually never got to the grounds that morning. I
Mm.
just drove all the way to the Lucky first gate that they had already shut the gate. So I was trying to tell them there, look, you can't close the gates, remove
What
the
sort of
roadblocks,
timing?
go back to this was about 5 6 a.m. So after I
Okay.
spoken to them there and cleared that roadblock with a few of us that had volunteered to just take charge of um, uh, traffic and all that stuff. We had moved to the new market end to clear that roadblock. Then we had gone into the Farm City Junction on Admiralty to clear that roadblock. Then we had gone to Lekki Koi Bridge to also clear that roadblock. And by this time, it was about almost noon when we now checked our social media and we saw that the governor had called for a curfew. And we had a little deliberation there. And we're like, oh, this is actually welcome. Let's actually now tell everybody that look, okay, that the curfew needs to be respected. I even put on my Instagram page that look, peaceful is what peaceful does, and since thugs have taken over some pieces of the protest around Lagos, it's best because we had categorized the Lekki tour as just HQ. It's best that everybody disperses and let the government handle the unrest because that is not part of our mantra. That is not part of what we're preaching. That is not our motive. That is nothing of the peaceful protest and SARS. So, but I mean, people who got the message, but there were other people who, I mean, people who were hell bent on showing that they had the rights. I mean, very valid. I just didn't think, nobody just expected that the curfew, the military showing up was going to still keep them there. So I don't know what happened there because I wasn't actually on ground when it happened. I left. I had gotten home about 2:30 in the afternoon, and I was making calls to the people who were on ground that okay, clear this, clear that, clear that. Let's try and discourage people from coming, and the crowd actually building up first. Let's solve that problem and see how we can do with the crowd on ground. Some of the security guys, about few of the security guys of the bouncers that have volunteered to be with us on the grounds throughout had volunteered to stay back and just make sure that we can protect as many peaceful protesters from the thugs that are going to come in to disrupt it.
Okay.
So I think I went to bed at about 2 a.m.
Okay. So, since you left there, um, were there people that obviously you met friends there, you met people you knew, and were there people that since after the incident you haven't been able to speak to them? You don't know where their whereabouts. Do you have anything like that?
Pardon?
Do you have people that you
Do
are
I have, sorry,
missing since?
you are, yeah,
Did, did you hear my
missing?
question?
No, I
Did
had I thought, yeah, other people missing, no. So I mean, us our groups have formed WhatsApp groups.
mm,
So everybody in our WhatsApp groups were all accounted for. I mean, we were some people had their phones dead for a while. They surfaced about probably a day or two after. They said, "Oh, that they just need some rest." They doesn't let the phone off. They were just trying to just recoup. So, but yeah, every volunteer that I worked with are all accounted for. It's even on Tuesday morning, we were having a conversation about gathering a database, using the drone images to count heads, maybe start collating probably getting names and telephone numbers. But yeah.
so what's your impression when you now hear after the Lekki shooting? First was the denial. Second was, okay, we had some people who were wounded. We don't know of any death. Do you know anyone who was wounded or anyone who lost a life there?
I've only seen on social media of wounded people,
Mm. Okay, obviously you left
but we
before
but we watched.
the live stream.
Yeah, I left in the afternoon, but I mean, we can't. Where we watched the live streams and
Mm.
we saw wounded people and bullets.
Mm.
So
Okay, so I mean, thank you very much, Robert, for your insight. And at the beginning, you mentioned about SARS. Can I come back to that part before I bring in Amaka? Obviously,
mhm,
Amaka would
mhm.
also want to speak of her experience. Um, you said you had an encounter with SARS. Again, can you recount, is that like a one-off? Eventually, did that leave a bad taste in the mouth, or how was the whole encounter with SARS that prompted you actually to join the protest?
I wouldn't say it left a bad taste in my mouth. I would say the stories I've heard of the atrocities that have been committed by members of the division is what has irked me. My experience was it was not traumatizing, but I mean I went to Unilag, so I have schoolmates that are in the police. I went to I did nursery, primary, secondary, and university in Lagos. So I have secondary school friends who are in the police. I have friends who have parents in the police. So my experience isn't enough to leave a bad taste in my mouth about the Nigerian police and my experience with the Nigerian police. I have more friends in the Nigerian police than people who have done me wrong by them. But I have been extorted, um, threatened with life, slapped, beaten, detained unlawfully,
What
um,
was your, what did
held
you
against
do?
my will.
What did you do? Why were you detained?
I mean, it's the same question I keep asking them. One time I was asked at about 1:30 in the morning. I was asked, "Where's the receipt for my laptop?" This is in 2018. I bought this laptop in 2009, and I was like, "Where's the receipt for my laptop, sir? This laptop was purchased in 2009. The shop I bought it from doesn't even exist anymore." So, like, what kind of question is that? So, because I asked him an eloquent and intelligent question. It pissed him off. Says the Uber I was in,
Mm.
said, "Yeah, sir, you can be going." And I'm now in the middle of five policemen at 1:30 in the night because I don't have the receipt for a laptop I bought almost 5 to 6 years ago. Come on.
Mm.
So
Mm.
like my wife had to run from the house, run. Like she didn't even bother driving because she was like that. She didn't want to start trying to maneuver out of the compound and waking everybody up. And she ran. Luckily, it was at the Mara entry into Lekki phase 1, and we just live just behind Lagoon. Um, somewhere there. So that area. So she ran to come and meet me. I wanted the money, and she had to like beg and calm them down because they are ready to like cock their gun and like, we'll kill you here. I was like, kill me. I'm already dying slowly. I'm in my 30s and I'm like trying to survive. I'm trying to like achieve. I've registered my fifth business. I'm like, I had told one guy on the grounds. I was sitting with him at the bar one time, and he's someone that I mean, he's a bricklayer. And I told him, oh, that my dad has a house in Ikoyi. And he looked at me and I was like, so what are you doing here? I was like, bros, since I finished school, I never see job. And he was shocked. He was like, but you look like you're. I was like, bros, because you're seeing things on me, it doesn't mean that the money I used to buy is in my account. That's not the way life is. So people don't. So some of you guys don't understand that just because you're in a big car, they believe that they believe that because you're driving this big car, you have the equivalence of the money in your account. They say, oh, that's saying don't buy it if you can afford it times two. Yeah, we can't even afford to save. We are all just surviving. So to him, I had enlightened his mind on a new perspective on how to see the so-called middle class. Like, look, we are in this struggle together. For the first time, he felt like yes, because fam, they they were seeing phones and returning it to the stage to find the owner because they realized that look, that the person that lost his phone is also struggling. So let me just. So that's where we need to do that's what we need to do now.
Okay.
It's no longer
So,
a protest. It's now an action.
okay. Robert, I will bring you back, later before, at least let's see when we discuss about what next. But before I let you go on this segment, I would want to, you somehow alluded to it at the beginning, but I would want to get something off you. Is there at any point
Mhm.
in, is there at any point while you guys were protesting, did you ever feel, oh, this is something, a protest that the Yorubas or Igbos or any ethnic group in Nigeria was behind? And since the incident now started happening and people are trying to bring ethnic coloration to it, when you hear something like that, how does that make you feel? When you hear the ethnicization of the whole effort you guys put in there.
Ooh. I've tried to avoid arguments on this because, to be honest, it's just part of the tactics to dismantle the unity. Look, there were 13 states that had multiple protest sites. Hmm? The protest started with the death of someone. When it started on Twitter, there were no answers, and then some people went to Alausa, and then the crowd started. So people just kept on getting more. Like I said, I joined because I was motivated by somebody sleeping overnight at Alausa. So when people start throwing conspiracies into something that was organically bound to happen, if you look at history, if you look at human psychology, if you look at sociology, the study the growth in poverty, the GDP, the economics, it was bound to happen. The people at some point are going to say, look, we're going to realize they didn't have a future if they didn't ask and demand for more, for some leeway, loosen the leash, do something. We are looking at our future and it is bleak. What's the answer? Where are we headed? So people kept asking, who is the leader? Twice we voted in the leader. He is the president. That is who our leader is. The people just wanted answers. Are we going to keep dying? Are there going to be more jobs? Or no, we're not even asking for jobs right now. We're just like, look, we are a generation of entrepreneurs, so we just want some more. There was no, the Christians were protecting the Muslims while they were praying on Friday. I was part of the people that tried to organize the church service on Sunday morning. There was synergy. There were people that came on stage. There were people came on stage and said the same demands in all the languages. There was inclusion. There was unity. There was one direction, one voice. So I don't care or want to deliberate or want to spend any second of my time trying to cut and paste and nip and talk into tribalism, because none of that was in that place of that Eden of hope. None of that was there.
Thank you very much. I couldn't thank you enough
You're
for,
very welcome.
was listening with rapt attention. Just stay, please, if you can. And I'm going to bring Amaka. Amaka, I don't know if you're able to unmute your camera. Ideally, I would want to see you once more, if you can, please. If you can unmute your camera. Thank you very much for doing that, Amaka. Amaka, we've spoken in private, we've spoken briefly, and you dialed in the other day that we had the conversation. And Amaka, I would want to start by saying, the last time we spoke, you weren't feeling too fine. You were still very, very down. And I just want to say, how are you today, Amaka?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We are just trying to come back, you know, to psychologically I'm messed up, but I'm getting better by the day.
Okay, that's fine. So, Amaka, if I may ask you again, can you tell us, you said, like Robert said, he was at the Lekki toll gate on that day. And afterwards, when the curfew was announced, he encouraged others to leave and he left. And can you tell us what, from your own part, what actually happened? Because you mentioned that you left earlier and on your way, a friend of yours who you already met there, you were on with her on a video call when the shooting started. Can you take us through what actually happened? When did you leave? Where were you? And when you started making that call?
Okay, when they announced the curfew, anyways, I left with Demilade. So, but I knew people were still there. I knew the people that were still there. So they kept on putting up on their WhatsApp status that they are there and all that. So there are people I wanted them to come to join this meeting, because even when the shooting started, they were there. They ran. They were tear gassed, so they ran. And yesterday they accepted to join the Zoom meeting, but I think the heat is on everywhere now. Most people don't want to get involved anymore. I've been trying to get them all day, but they've refused to come.
Why do you think, sorry, before you continue, why do you think they are, they don't want to get involved again?
I can't tell. I think they are scared.
Scared
I
of
can't,
who?
I don't know. I think they are just scared. I think they are just scared. Like, a lot of people don't want to get themselves involved with this.
Okay.
So I think they are scared.
Okay, go ahead. I mean, you were there, then you left, and what happened
Yes,
next?
left. So I was on the call. I will keep calling them. Even the point I was sending them messages like, I'm on my knees begging you guys that you need to leave that place. I don't think it's safe anymore. That let's just respect the governor, respect the law of the land, and also respect the reason behind this protest. We are peaceful. So since the hoodlums had hijacked the protest, I think at this point we just need to leave that place. So I kept calling. I kept calling. 5, I was calling. Then at about 6:30, At about 6:30,
PM.
I was still calling. So then at that moment, I became scared. But these guys were not moved. Like, I don't know. I don't know where they got the strength from. They were not even moved. They kept saying that they are peaceful. Nothing is going to happen. That as soon as whoever gets there, they will sing the national anthem with their flags. I said, okay, keep on waving your flags and don't do nothing. But I still suggest that you guys leave that place. They said no, that they are not fighting anybody, that they are peaceful and nobody is trying to do anything bad. So I think I don't know the exact time, but I knew, I think about 7. So one of them called me on a video call. I was like, these guys are coming here. I was scared. So I said, anyways, just relax and be where you are. They said they are going to be peaceful. So we are still on the video when the shooting started. I can hear the national anthem, them singing the national anthem. I can hear them waving the flags. And so people, most of them started running. Most of them were like singing solidarity, and it was just chaos, but the strength and the love there. So at some point, she said that the ambulances around there, that people have started carrying out the injured, that she would like to go in there with the drivers. So I personally told her, don't turn off your camera so that we'll know what happens to you. So she as she was driving, as they were removing the soldiers were saying, go back, go back, go back. The next thing I heard from her, I've been shot, I've been shot. She was saying that to her phone. So the phone, I couldn't see anything anymore. I was just seeing legs and all that. At the point, the phone went blank. Since that time, nobody has heard anything from her.
Okay.
So, but the other guys, my stylist, he has been there. So he ran. He was there during the whole stuff. I called him at the moment this one happened. I had to start calling him. So he was still running. He said he will get back to me when he gets home. So he got home at about 11 p.m. And he told me that he ran all the way from there down to his house. He said that it was crazy. It was like a war zone. So since then, yeah, he couldn't talk. Each time you call him, he will tell you that like he couldn't imagine what happened there. So yesterday I spoke with him about this meeting. He accepted that he and his friend they are going to attend the meeting, but I don't know what happened.
Okay. So since Tuesday, your friend that you were speaking on a video call before, she said she was shot or the bullet hit her and the phone dropped from her hands. Um, so have you tried calling? Did you make any attempt to call her yesterday?
The line has not been going through till now.
Did you try her today? And the line is still not going through. Do you by any chance know where she lives?
No, we all met, like I said, we met there. When we got to that protest ground is filled with love, with peace, with unity, like just the way Demilade is saying it. That place, like I never imagined that. And you know, the fun of it, and it was just that most of these less privileged, they believed, they had that sense of inclusion. They couldn't imagine. I can remember one of them telling me one day that, so you people where they paralyze this, what we go do? Una don't give us ginger. So now they see this thing where we they see. So that means like they felt it. And as I was leaving, because Demilade's house is his house is a bit mine is farther than his. So as I was going home, there was traffic on that Tuesday. So I came down from my car, I was managing the traffic, and the thugs did something quite amazing. Those people we call thugs and touts. at the point I was managing the traffic, so the most people they don't want to listen to me, probably because I'm a woman or something like that. So those talks out of nowhere, they came out. They said, "Oh, you now no one listen to with the talk say change. So now like this country as it is, so all of now move back, move back. Everybody go there in order after we finish this protest." I was so shocked. I was so amazed. Like, so these people now understand what the message we are trying to pass. So they said, hey, don't worry, since everybody no one day for order for this country. After this protest, all of them go day for order. Once make this country day good, and still they scatter them. These are the touts that everybody know. So, and I felt happy. I felt so happy. So in that ground, the love, the peace, I'll tell you the truth. I was eating, like I never cooked in my house. I never ate anything in my house for the past 8 days I was there. I was eating there because you eat anything you want. There's food, even for vegetarians. Peace, the love. Nobody is saying I'm a Christian. Nobody is saying I'm a Muslim. Nobody is saying you're from Niger Delta, you're Igbo, you're Yoruba. The love. It was just one mantra there: peace and say no to bad governance. We want a better governance. We want a better leadership. That's just what was there.
Okay. So, Amaka, how do you feel when, since after the incident, and suddenly there is this narration that a section of the country is controlling that people, you know, or let me rephrase it. How do you feel if someone is insinuating that you that went to that protest was used by certain section of the country to foment trouble? How do you feel?
It's an insult. It's an insult to the reason behind the protest, because who is going to use me? We volunteered. We were going for that. I joined because I didn't start from the beginning. We joined. It was that Tuesday was my 8th day. So we joined. And just like Demilade, none of us planned it. So we joined. When we got there, because I'll tell you that the police brutality, basically everybody in Nigeria is affected. Everybody. So we see the videos, we see a whole lot of things. And I've had an experience with the Nigerian police force. The 2 times I've been robbed in this country, I was robbed by the Nigerian police. The second one, they shot my driver and they pulled out their POS and with gun pointed on my head, to my head, and they now asked for the pin and I gave to them. Then the next day, because I still want to wrap my head around it, I made some reports with most of the people I knew in the defense in Abuja. They tracked my phone and it was inside the police station for 2 days. So it got to a point that I was advised to leave it because they may hurt me, knowing that I'm pushing for it. And most times when I drive at night, man, the experience, I'm always scared. I'm always scared the way they'll pull out their gun. I always have money in my car so that I can give them. You know, it's not nice. And I see things that happen to people. You know, the videos is not encouraging. And the way they will shout, hit you, and they will tell you to your face that nothing will happen. And indeed, nothing will happen. So nobody used anybody in this protest. The thing is just that everybody has had enough. We just had to stand up for our rights. We are tired of being oppressed. So what we are asking for, we didn't ask you for money, we didn't ask you for food, we didn't ask you for anything. It's just the right to live. The right to feel that the security that have been dispatched to protect lives, that they are really doing that they will do that instead of hurting and killing us. That is justice. So nobody paid anybody. It's just you. Is anybody that says is a ridicule, is a slap. Who will you pay? Everybody there is a Nigerian, and I believe that most of us there, we are not hungry. So I can't imagine the thoughts of anybody saying that.
Okay. Okay, can I piggyback a little bit from your experience with the SARS? You said that you were, they once held a gun at you and forced you to enter your PIN.
Exactly.
Now, can you tell us the incident? You said they shot at the driver. So what's
Yes,
exact?
they shot at my driver. This happened when I was working because I had some jobs I was doing in Asaba. So I had my driver that night when I closed from work. I was going home.
Which year is
So
this?
this was 2017.
Okay.
2017. I think it's July, either June or July, right?
Okay.
Between June and July, yeah. So everybody around me know the story. So I closed from work. I was going home and they stopped me. No, not that they stopped me because I noticed something as I was moving, but which was unusual. They don't wear the police uniform. So
Mm.
I was scared. I had to tell the driver to turn. When he was about turning, another people came from behind. I said, just stop there. So that they are SARS. Okay. I said, no problem. We don't have anything hidden. They said that I should bring my ID. I brought my ID. I showed them. Before I could know it, they have already shot the driver on his arm. And
Why? Hold on. Did the driver
nothing.
argue?
No, no. So they shot the driver and they now asked me to. At that point, I just had to calm
Hold on,
down.
hold on. Just like that, they stopped you,
Yes,
asked
yes.
your ID, shot the driver. There
Yes, I
was
did.
no
I should.
altercation.
There
There
was
was
no
nothing.
altercation, nothing. That was just it. So I just had to lie on the ground. I lay on the ground. They were pointing gun with my head to my head. They carried my bag. They brought out the POS and they
POS.
said yes. And they said that I
So
should
how much did they transfer from your account?
about 80,000. That was all they could do that night. 80,000. That was all they could do.
8,000 naira.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, when you got the alert on the POS, what was it written? Was that a private account or a company account? I mean, what
Well,
was the transaction?
I couldn't. When this thing happened, the next morning, I went to the police station to make a report. And I went with I went with because my phone they've taken my phone. So I called my account officer. He had to bring out the name. That name was just strange. And I think they knew about it because they kept saying, okay, we are going to investigate it. We are going to investigate. But I wasn't so
Which
sure.
bank was this? Sorry, which
My
bank
bank
was
is
it?
Zenith Bank. I bank with Zenith Bank. The bank this happened with Zenith Bank.
Okay.
So I had to call my friend with the Nigerian army. So he went to the defense to get that information. So they were tracking the phone. So when they were tracking the phone, they tracked the phone to what do you call this? Their police station in Asaba. I've forgotten the name.
Is it Nebisi?
No, it's not it's on Nebisi Road. That they
Cable
are
point.
it looks like they are
Is there cable point?
quarters. That their quarters at that Nebisi Road, right? Isn't Nebisi Road, right? Abi? It's not.
Anyway.
So me. I can't picture it now. That their quarters by that
But where exactly did this happen in Asabam?
it happened along that when you come out from the DBS road. As soon
Mm.
as you come drive out from DBS road, yes. That's where it happened.
So you still don't have any record of um, the name that was
I
used.
was advised to leave that. I was advised to leave it. When the moment they noticed that the people that did that are the Nigerian police, I was advised to leave it and not
So
to go.
you were advised to leave, to let it be,
Even my parents called me and said I should just leave that.
and that's if with money, telephone, even the name. You were advised
Yes.
to.
Yes.
But I mean, if the government is saying that things need to be put right, Is there any way you can still get the details from your account?
I don't think
Probably
I
account.
want to do that because even now I'm scared. I have to be honest. I've been strong all this while, but I'm scared. I'm scared. I have to tell you the truth. A woman narrated her story to me there, and it was
Mm.
pathetic. How they killed and buried the son. It was pathetic. A lot of things. I'm just scared. Just like every other person is scared. I'm scared. I'm scared.
Okay. So, on hearing these stories, please do not unmute yourself. Just for housekeeping. If you're on this conversation, please respect the conversation and keep your devices muted, or else you'll be kicked out. And once more, thank you, Amaka. And obviously, you are a very strong woman, and for all you have gone through and still going through. It's sometimes when we hear these things, they sound as if they are something from a movie. So I don't know if we have more people in this conversation that might want to share their experience. If you do, please can you raise up your hand using the technology within this Zoom meeting to please raise up your hand. Then you could be called upon. Dam Damilade, do you want to say something? Oh, okay. So, moving on, obviously, I got a little bit chilling when you talk about, your experience, Amaka. Now, sorry if I can piggyback on that. So, after that incident, you drove your driver to the hospital, right? And so, what was the outcome? He was shot. Can he use his hand? Is the hand,
Yes, it was. He was just lucky. He was just lucky. It didn't really. It's not something bad. So he's just very lucky.
so, and everything, obviously, he was traumatized afterwards.
Yes, and that is it. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me again, if you are, as we said at the beginning, if you're a victim, if you are a participant, if obviously the things happening in the nation in the last couple of days, people have also, we've seen shops that were looted. So in any way, if you want to speak, you can raise your hand, and you will be given audience. And I think before I go on, let me bring in Marcel. Marcel, if you can unmute yourself, and I think you have a question or something like that. Go on, Marcel.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can all hear you.
Okay. Amaka and Demilade, right? I sincerely appreciate your confidence and your strength, in all of this. From my study of nations, there are three categories of citizens. The first category is the ruling class that run things. The second category are the middle class. And then the third category are the masses, the people that are, their earning power is very low. Now, the ruling class can always buy the masses because the masses, their earning power is low. With a few hundreds of naira, they could influence them and change them and force them to do what they want them to do. And that's exactly what has been happening in Nigeria for years. The middle class seem unconcerned, but I think recently the middle class has woken up. Now, because the government knows that they can't buy their way into the middle class, because the government also know that the middle class are such that before you could buy them, you will spend your whole national budget. So they are not people you can buy. And the people you see that have stepped out on the street in the past few weeks are the middle class. And because the masses are tired, they don't, they've been battered, they don't have anywhere to go, you see them joining the middle class to protest against the government. Now, in the first 12 days, the middle class were able to manage this protest, and good things, love and everything comes on. People came together. And one thing I want people to know, which I would always make very, very clear, violence in this protest started when people were recruited to attack protesters. It is a fact, and let's not miss it, because when you begin to look at the whole screen, there come a time where these things are bundled up. I saw video on the street of Abuja where an unmarked Jeep and a black Benz with about 3 or 4 buses loaded. Those buses can be identified. The faces are there, everything, carrying armed people. And these guys were going after protesters and mowing them down right live on the streets of Abuja. A serious government, if Buhari is sincere, if Buhari is honest, again, I repeat, if Buhari is sincere and Buhari is honest, he cannot tell me he has never seen that video. And if he has seen that video, what has he done? In Abuja, your federal capital, the whole world, now understand, there is no country that develops without foreign investment. And I think we need to understand how this works. When countries want to develop, capital are needed to develop a country. Your train, your hospital, everything you need is money. The government alone cannot fund these things. So you need foreign investors to bring money in to fund these things, okay? We understand that the capital that the government has currently now, their problem is misallocation. You know, you have a government that will take billions of naira to build a train to nowhere. Whereas there are very lucrative roads where when you build this train, you can recoup your money and then use the money to build another train and another train, another train. So they are not thinking. So the foreign investors are people that will not misapply their money. They are interested in making profit. And they will only go to countries that are peaceful, to countries where their investments are secure, to countries where they can walk any time of the day without anybody killing them on the street. So imagine if you're an investor and you have billions of naira, and then you are seeing the video of a capital city where you have official, in quotes, vehicles, black, no plate numbers. Those vehicles are often used for escort and all that. And then a clear video of somebody commanding thugs. And these things are just few miles away from the seat of power, Aso Rock. These things are just few miles away from the federal capital territory where you have the secretariat complex. You see them. Will you, as an investor, will you bring your money into that country? So let us know what we are fighting against. The government doesn't understand the kind of demarketing. They are demarketing this country. Don't even understand. People like us are here. We walk up to investors. We go to venture capitalists. We tell them to come and invest in the country. We tell them to come, that we can support them to bring their money into the country. And when those monies come into the country, they will create jobs. The teeming youth will have job. And then here is a government that doesn't give a damn. All they're interested in is protecting their power, and they can do anything. So I want to tell the youth, especially the middle class, the government is targeting at silencing the middle class. And once they silence the middle class, that is the end. The only people that can now fight are people that are not in the country, where the government cannot lay their hands on. And that's why I'm calling on Nigerians in diaspora. The government cannot get to you. They cannot send thugs to come and kill you wherever you are. You now need to rise up. The people in the country are at risk. Look at all of them. They are scared. Nobody can come up and talk. And that's exactly what the government wants. So the diasporans now need to pick it up from every part of the country where they are. They need to pick it up, lobby, put pressure, international pressure, because that is only what will make this country think right. I do not see any responsible leader that will tolerate weapons live on his capital city. And then the government sits down, they keep quiet, nobody's talking about it, nobody's making nothing, everybody just keep quiet. We are in deep shit. And until the middle class who are in diaspora, and I'm calling on them, they need to step up, because they are where they are secure, they are free, the government can't come to them. But the Amakas, the Demilayos, the DJ Switch, all those guys, they can go to them, they can track them, they can eliminate them, nothing will happen. We don't have a database in Nigeria. Imagine that if we have a database of everybody in this country, after the Lekki riot, we will just make a quick roll and know who is missing and who is not missing. And we'll be asking the government, we can no longer find this person. What has happened? But we don't have database. So Mazi, please, it's painful. If we have to develop our country, the government needs to pay attention to how the international community perceives it. The international community are the people that controls billions of pounds and billions of naira. They are the one that will develop your country. Look at every country that has developed in this world. Look at the Dubai, look at the Paris, look at the London, look at US, any country. There is foreign direct investment. Foreigners bring in their billions of pounds to develop this country. So they have to take it serious. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, as an economist, obviously that's equally a perspective to see that from. But something that has been so worrying, which you said, and rightly so, is um, because if we want to go back and see how did this protest that was well organized, that the world actually is saying nowhere have they seen a well organized, well behaved protesters. It appears they were getting somewhere before the government started unleashing thugs. You know, one of the saddest things and saddest video to have watched is a video where you see someone in a security unmarked vehicle. Now, unleashing thugs with clovers, with machetes, and pointing. And the worst part is, you can see one of them, these are secret recordings, pointing actually on the direction that they should go, even to the point of coming back with that vehicle to evacuate them. Is it the one we talk about in Lagos State in Alausa, where you saw where state vehicles, states, you know, the public service vehicle. Now, people could now see when eventually the BRT was spawned. Not that anyone supports that, because eventually it's going to be your tax that would be used in doing in repurchasing them. You have lost a very you have lost assets, which might lead to increase in tax for the government to eventually, they're going to retax you to pay for the damaged items. But it's really sad to see um, those vehicles being used to convey touts, to convey people to foment trouble, because the young ones protesting never gave them the chance to even do that. But obviously, you can imagine, if not, I keep saying this, we have seen the wanton looting going on across Nigeria. Now, you ask yourself, if not for the Lekki shooting, if not for the fallout of that Lekki shooting, would we have seen this wanton looting? And I can tell you 95%, I mean, let's give 5% to chance. If not for that, there is no way, there is no way we will see what was happening. That is, and it's for me, that's anger that's, you know, kind of overspilled to a point, to a boiling point, that people had to react. Now, let me bring in
Mali,
Ayo.
sorry, Mali, sorry. What, and again, that is the point we all need to hinge on, because if we lose that point, we will lose it. Violence didn't start until government started it, and government needs to be held accountable. Two, what is Buhari doing with the videos we saw of people that are commanding thugs and using machetes on people on the streets of Abuja? What is he doing? Let us be very specific and ask him. Let the government respond to it. Their videos, their evidences, we saw their faces. What are they doing? I even saw one that somebody was trying to climb a fence and the other guy was holding his leg and the other guy was macheting him. These are live videos. Their faces are there. These are people that we have faces, we can track them, especially the ones that have the vehicles. We need to ask the government needs to be held accountable. What exactly are they doing? We need to ask them.
Sorry, but I think you are somehow taking the government too serious. Sorry, but if a government that deployed its own military, that's it's only used for the protection of the territorial integrity, to go and unleash live ammunitions on its own children. I mean, let's do a mental understanding of what we're happening. Listen, if you have 2, 3 children, your children are running amok, you're a father, you're angry. What on earth will make you go and use weapon on your children? Someone argued in one forum, oh yes, they were shooting it up. For Christ's sake, whether you were shooting it up as if a bullet that goes up stays up. a bullet that goes up has to come down. That's simple law of gravity. So if a nation that its military is denying that they were never involved in it, how do you then expect them to get to the point of looking for something private citizens recorded?
No, no, no,
However,
no.
the
Mazi,
demand,
Mazi,
the
sorry,
demand,
this
the
particular
demand
one I'm
has to,
saying, silence is consent in this case. The military can deny all they want. I am asking Buhari himself, the president of this country. That thing happened a few miles away from his seat of power. He saw the video. Why is he silent?
I said it before. I think you're taking the government too serious to be, again, if I can't imagine how you would expect a man who took over 2 days before he could address a nation on such critical issue to be to now get serious, to look at probably a DSS or whoever that was in a vehicle and moving people around. So let me use the opportunity to bring in Ayo Joseph. Ayo Joseph, can you please, make your point?
Um, Good evening, everybody. Because I'm about in evening where I am right now, and
Okay.
I can't say I've not seen what is happening in Nigeria. I have two feelings, mixed feeling, kind of, if you have to put it that way. I believe from my own opinion, the NSAS protest is more or less like myopic from my point of view. What Nigeria lacks is good governance, accountability, responsible leadership. If you look at all these 3 points and put it into, and that's juxtapose it with what has happened in Nigeria right now, it is so painful that we are asking for NSAS, and SARS is not the problem, for goodness sake. If you look at what is happening, the politicians have been using.
Sorry, may I ask you a question before you continue? Don't be offended. Have you ever been shot by the police before?
No, but I've been brutalized. What I'm saying is, let me make my point. Then you will.
I know, but
let me make my point. Then you will.
It's going to help you. It's going to help your point. It's going to help your point because that's what you started with.
Okay.
Have you lost any close relation, to police brutality?
Yes, I lost somebody to. Well, that's where I'm getting.
Okay,
I lost somebody tragically to a particular event or incident that is so painful because that was not supposed to happen. What I'm saying in essence is that, you see, if you look at a country where the politicians are using police, thugs, and all kind of miscreants to run the politics of Nigeria, you'll see that at the end of the day, to come back to the point where these same people that are being used that is unaccountable. They can't stand for anything. You can't hold them to anything. Look, let me tell you something. The talks we are talking about, look, are talks not being celebrated in Nigeria? You have places where you have talks having offices. Politicians go to them. We are calling for NSAS. What if they end SARS, they end SWAT, they end, and other things are happening? Then Nigeria is going through, how will I say, some kind of transformation that is beyond understanding. Look, let me tell you something. I'm not supposed to bring up this, but I will say it. When Showore come up with revolution now, Nigeria didn't come up that the youth of Nigeria didn't back this guy up. And that was what Nigeria needed, because it is more or less like it is foresightly. If you look at it from my point of view, it is foresightly because that is what we needed. A situation where people of 80 years, 70 years, 90 years are ruling us, and they continue ruling us. They have no plan. They've destroyed all the futures of the youth of Nigeria. Nothing more. Now we are asking for NSAS. The NSAS, and another thing is asking for NSAS, and then we say we'll come up with something else later. It's just like you as a father. If your child comes to you and say, "Daddy, I need cookies," and then you give cookies, and the child comes back later and says, Daddy, I need not only cookies, but I need also milk and this and that. Look, let me tell you something that we have. That is, I would like to say, compound problems in Nigeria, and it has to do with politics.
Okay, thank you very much.
What I've always been calling for is that Nigerians should be asking, the youth generally should be asking for good governance, accountability,
thank you very much.
responsible leadership. That's what I've been asking.
Thank you very much. I don't want to, because I can see a couple of people raising up their hand because of the comments you've made. But let me put this thing straightforward.
Okay.
The NSAS demand is a trigger. It's not. I mean, it's a slogan that encompasses a lot of things. It has, in that box is corruption. In that box is, nepotism. In that box is a lot of societal ills. So it's something that just triggered. It just that at some point something basically gave way to say, oh, we had enough. Everything you were saying, good governance, good politicians, this, that, you couldn't, the point is, yes, these things are correct, to some extent, but the issue of NSAS is beyond just ending the police brutality. It's beyond just saying, okay, the SARS has been disbanded, we have SWAT or whatever it is called. So I think it wouldn't, to my mind, it wouldn't be fair to say that those, and that's, honestly, that's a very, very unfair statement to use to say, that those who were demanding for NSAS were myopic. I mean, it's something that was spontaneous. It wasn't planned. You alluded to, oh, why wasn't the issue of Sowore, why didn't the people come out? You must understand that Sowere's case was something he came up with, saying was planned. NSAS was a reaction to an injustice so many people have suffered that suddenly, when you talk about this, oh, it applies to me. It's just like last week, no one knew that ever in this country that people could, mothers, fathers, children, everyone could actually begin to locate palliative, COVID palliative warehouses. It was a spontaneous reaction that, oh, when people saw what was happening in Lagos, yesterday I was telling somebody is climbing up, not even when the North didn't join the protest, but the palliative or COVID palliative invasion of the warehouses was climbing. You saw it. It started in Lagos. Before you knew it, it went down. It went through Benin. It came to Anambra State and started moving up north. Suddenly, we saw Jos, Jalingo, to the point that it got to Taraba, and it got to Adamawa State, to the point that as we speak today, Adamawa State has imposed 24 hours curfew. So I think when something like this happens, it will be unfair to those who have spent time, energy to discountenance.
Can I quickly make a point? I want to make the point that, look, from history, there has never been a time any Nigerian government negotiated with any form of protester. If you go back through history, there's always been force, there's always been violence, there's always been all forms of tricks in the books that they used to quench all these things. At the end of the day, when a dozen people, 20 people, 1,000 people died, people will go back to their houses. This is the same thing that is happening now. They know that they can quench this thing with force, and that's why they are using force. Look at it. And that's why the voices of those of us that are outside Nigeria is very, very important. Another thing I want us to do, this thing is just, I know it is not, it might not sound right, but I think it is the best. If any one of us can locate their families wherever they are located outside of Nigeria, we can hold them hostage. We don't need to kidnap them, hold them hostage in their compound, and let them know that their father, they are destroying that country where we call our own.
A proposition that how do you hold someone anyway? It's what we've come here actually today. Let's not digress from the core issue why we came here today, to speak to the victims, to see how interventions we can do. So anyway, thank you for your contribution, and I'm going to be calling on Steve. Steve, please, can you unmute yourself and speak, please? Just make it very quick, Steve.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mazi. Good afternoon.
Yeah,
I'm reporting from Germany. Actually, what is happening today in my motherland is heartbreaking. I think it's better we call a spade a spade. It is not about changing the government, but it's about changing the governance. How do we look with respect? How do we go about this? Let us start from the grassroots. If palliative could be given to the common man and the so-called Igwes, Obas, could keep it, why talking to the people on the top? Let's start from there. The problems we're having in Nigeria, they are from our homes. Parents celebrate criminals at home. A child goes out, comes in with something within 6 months, and is highly celebrated. What do you expect? With respect to the NSAS issue, it is divine. No one will say it was planned. I have been brutalized by the police. In the year 2018, I came to Nigeria. Honestly, I fear when I talk of coming to Nigeria. Should I talk about the immigration system, whereby I was even about to board from Nigeria to Germany, Lagos? I was a guy, I think, if I should search my file, I have his name. Asked me to pay him 200,000 naira before I buy. I said, for what? Just because my passport was beaten, I was beaten by rain, and it was a bit wet. So now, considering the killings in our country, I somehow oppose our brother who said the president should look the videos of the talks being carried by some top officials in the cars. What do we expect? If you can have a president who saw all that happened, to the extent of people, even Hillary Clinton tweeted, Buhari, stop the killing in your country. And he kept quiet till after 2 or 3 days before he made the worst speech he ever made. So what I'm actually asking is, let us go back to the roots. Most of these nations that are developed today started from their schools. Teach the children to understand what their rights are. If you want to hold people responsible with respect to what things that are happening in our constituencies, who are the people we voted? What are they representing? I am from Imo State. We all saw what happened in Imo State. What did they do? What is the judiciary system doing? So NSAS, for now, we know it is a debt issue. Yes, we know, but not the governance. You can end SARS, but the system that introduced SARS, they are still there. So we need to change the mindset of how we view things. How do we do it? We all know the hoodlums who hijacked the protest. We cannot say we don't know. We know somebody paid people or hired people to remove the CCTV camera and to off the lights. Those people who did that, are you saying that they are not known? Are you saying there is no central system that can capture the faces of those removing it? We know all these things. So what I'm actually urging for our nation, violence is not actually the solution, rather sensitization. If we should take up machetes, take guns to the street, we will end up killing ourselves. Just like some videos, we saw somebody cut off the head of a policeman and they were showing it for crying out loud. What did he do? Is he the SARS person that you killed? No, that has not solved the problem. Rather, that has taught the little child, if you see a policeman cut off his head. We have people who are serving also in the police in different places. So my idea and my suggestion to our nation, one, let us stop the killing. Let us stop the burnings. Burning down of the police stations will not solve the problem. Rather, it is causing us more harms. at this moment, let us look at first our churches. Look, if you are a Christian, look at your church. What are the ministers preaching there? Are they teaching you the right thing or just talking about their pockets? Secondly, let us look at our schools. If the schools could be developed, this NSAS issue will not really be the more thing at high. So I'm talking about the grassroots. Here in Germany, I was talking with my professor when I was doing my master's here. I asked him some certain questions. Why is it that the Germans find it so difficult? Even when you see a German tells lies, he starts to cry. You notice immediately. He said, yeah, they are taught this from schools. From the kindergarten, they are taught. But at home, you teach a child, just like a video that went viral. A child was demonstrating, mommy, calm down. And the governor celebrated him. And they see it as something very, very nice to their eyes. The child is so tricky. If you want to do something, he knows how to trick you. And then the governor said, oh, let us celebrate him. Whereas there are children who have made good results, nobody celebrated them. What are we celebrating? I'm not trying to say it is wrong. Some people might like it that way to catch fun with it. But what do we see that is so important and in those areas? We can see a governor who was there and they killed his people. He came out to the international nation and told them nobody was killed. And after some time, he said only some few casualties. Who is there to hold him responsible? Because the judiciary system is corrupt.
Okay,
so, Mazi,
thank you very much. Thank you very much for your, now I think, you know, we might be, if we do not have victims, participants now speaking, we might be talking about rounding up. But before we do, I want to get back to the two people we have here. That is Amaka and Demilade. Okay, sorry, Ken. Ken, can you unmute yourself? You want to say something before I get back to Amaka and Robert?
Okay, hi. Yes. Good afternoon here. Greetings from Canada. So I'm just gonna make this really quick, and thank you to especially for those who were present at the Lekki toll gate massacre, who summoned courage to come here today. You know, you are the real heroes and heroines, and you know, from many of us in diaspora, we really respect you, and you know, with all of our hearts, because you know, it's easier for us to be here in diaspora and speak about, you know, all the terror which the government has been inflicting on citizens, because we have some form of safety and cushion in this part of the world. But I just wanted to touch on a few things real quickly, and I'll try to keep it as, you know, short as possible in the interest of time. So the first thing is, you know, there's one narrative which I typically hear a lot from people, especially when they talk about the fact that, you know, governance, we need to look for, first of all, inwards into like our family structures and our moral compass and all of that. I agree that, you know, charity, they say, begins at home. But I don't think it's fair to human beings or to people when we start moving the responsibility away from governance to people. So basically, people, a lot of things that we see happen in Nigeria, especially in terms of things like NSAS and all of this, is because of the fact that there's no level of accountability and there's no structures in place to ensure that people, there are punitive measures for people who go ahead and indulge in some of these, you know, nefarious or very, very immoral activities. So I think we need to understand the fact that if we had a government structure, a governance structure, whereby if you're elected into a position or selected, depending on what the situation is, and you understand the fact that if I go in here and you know, I do things which are not in line with the conduct or not in line with, you know, the constitution or whatever, there is a punishment for me. People will start rethinking or thinking twice about going into these things. So the moment we then start spending emphasis, or we start spending most of our time and energy talking about the citizens, that how about you in your home? How do you train your children? Blah, blah, blah. I think that's a distraction. That is why you find I came to Nigeria long time ago when I had like a short stint in one of the multinational companies. And I saw how even the so-called expatriates, Caucasians, whom we always defer to as saints, we're actually behaving the same way as Nigerians. Do you know why? Because they are in a system where they know they can get away with some of the things which they do. So no race is born more saintly than the other. At the end of the day, it's all about the systems. So the moment we all realize that the key responsibility of putting those systems into place is the government. So no matter how dubious you are, no matter whatever your intentions are, you know the fact that if I get into government, I have to sit up and I cannot do anything wrong because I will not be allowed to get away with it. That typically is always a starting point. Instead of turning around and saying that, everyone, you have to make sure that in your home you raise your children. That's a no-brainer. We know that. But at the end of the day, humans are humans. So until we understand that, we should not always start taking away that blame on governance and putting it on individuals that we are the cause of all of this, blah, blah. I don't agree. And we have seen this play out in the last couple of days where a lot of things that we see are happening now. I'm sorry to say, but I can tell you that there will be a lot of people who have committed atrocity, both in the military and all of this, who would go away without being punished for some of the things they've done, And it might not sound like what we want to hear, but that's the reality. But I think we have made progress. I think we have shaken the establishment. I think, a lot of things which people have always, undermined the intensity or how bad it is. Because I tell people the rot in Nigeria is way worse than a lot of us can imagine. And when we start hearing the victims talking about some of these things firsthand, that just gives us a little bit of an understanding. But it's actually way worse than it is. It's going to be a long journey. And I think we just need to, stay tight. Diasporans, we need to keep amplifying our voice, contributing whatever way you can do, both financial, human resource, social media, communication, anything we need to do. Because I think this responsibility is a shared one. And we have a unique opportunity to, even if we don't change Nigeria, we can spark the brains that can change Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Emeka, before I get back to Amaka and Robert, please can you bear with me? Let me get Emeka to make a comment. Emeka, please unmute yourself and go ahead. That's 2 minutes, please, Max.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. And in line with the last speaker, I agree totally with what he said.
Could you please turn on your video, please?
I'm on the road right now. Well, just
make it
so clear. Okay. So what I was trying to say is, in line with the last speaker as well, and some concrete effort that we can make is, in terms of state or federal budgeting, we need to pay attention to the budgets when they make those budgets and be attentive to the locations where they are supposed to, where those projects are supposed to be implemented. Let the community, let the state be aware of those things. And we should also be maybe within a few months of the budget going into being announced, we should monitor and ask questions as soon as it's implemented. Let us know who the contractors are. Let us know the deliverables that are supposed to be delivered at every point in time. Some of this, let everybody be aware. That's what I'm trying to say. Secondly, in terms of the salaries, we can campaign on the salaries of our public office holders. The president should not earn more than maybe 300% of the least civil service in the federal system. He should not. We should all campaign against or for that kind of limitations, such that if the president has, if we decide, okay, president, you earn 2 million naira every month, that should not, the least person paid in the federal civil service should earn, about maybe not, I don't have the figure right now, but the president's salary must not be more than 200 or 300%. Let's put it that way. So if they decide to increase it to 20 million or 100 million a month, it must be proportionate to that of the federal servants as well. We all, every Nigerian should, actually support that, such that even the senators and all those stuff, so they might be able to, vary their salaries within that range as well, because I'm sure the president would not want to earn less than the senators. So that way, there will be some sensible remuneration for our federal workers. Those are just the two things I think are practicable if we can push and push really for them. Note the projects, monitor them. Maybe in local governments have lawyers working for the local government, monitoring the state allocations to the local governments. Same thing, the state will have lawyers monitoring the budgets allocated to those other, and let the communities where those projects are going to be implemented be aware and monitor it as well. It's not like when the project is awarded, some politicians will go to the federal department and tell them, okay, this stuff have been completed. The project has been completed. Meanwhile, the federal department don't even go back to check if those projects were completed. And sometimes they sign off, which means they are also complicit in that fraud.
Mm.
These are just two things I think might, concrete things.
Thank you very much. Your first point is, okay, Daniel, I'll come to you now. So your first point, if you actually want to, if you go on Twitter, I think it's Budget IT or Budget Tracker, and these are people doing an enormous amount of money enormous amount of job that we all must support to help in digging out these informations as it concerns what the budgets are being used for. There are people already doing it and they need our support. I think they are in 554 local governments across the nation. Now, coming to the what the president and vice president, and honestly, I think that should be the least of our problem, because what they earn, if we had competent people, would be peanut. I mean, the president, as we speak today, earns about 26 point something million naira. Anybody doing serious thing, a CEO in any multinational, does a peanut, honestly, to what you can take home. But I don't, such thing, I wouldn't really want to worry myself much about that, because the real issue.
Actually, I think you're getting it wrong.
But
whatever the president earns, or whatever it should be in line. It should be proportionate to what the civil servants earn. Now you're paying civil servants, the least level civil servant, 50,000 naira. What proportion of that
18, it's actually 18,000, but if we go by 30, if we go by the new implemented, which everyone is not paying, 30,000 by 300% that you talked about, that would be amounting to about 9 million per month, and if you do that by 12, that's about 108. So it's actually way off what they're earning now. But again, let's not get into the nitty-gritties of that. That's not the essence of this conversation. Anyway, thank you once more for your wonderful contribution. Now, I have Lady Marlene and Adabu, so I think I will get you people to speak. But before I do that, let me get back to Demi Lade here and to say, now the incidents have all happened. What do you think is next? Robert, you just turned off your camera. Are you there? Yeah, your camera is back on, so you can, yeah. So what do you think is next? Go ahead.
So what is next is pretty much my answer to some of the things raised by Ayo Joseph and what's the journalist's name? Marvin. Sorry if I messed up your name. So what is next? Like I said, somebody is demanding accountability from Buhari about a video that's circulating on social media. Again, that's losing focus. It's a valid request, but let me give you some analysis. Someone died, eruption happened on social media. When there were no answers, a few people went to Alausa. There were no answers, a few people marched. Still no answers, they marched and domiciled at the toll. Were there for 12 days, and in those 12 days, 14 women raised up to 150, close to 150 million naira, and were coordinating logistics of welfare, food, cleaning, medical, welfare, and security in multiple protest sites across 13 states, with accountability every single day. Something we do not get from our leaders.
And transparent as well.
We ask for accountability repeatedly. We ask for a better way to live. We didn't even ask for money or we ask for answers, and please just let us live, because we are done. After 60 years, we are done asking for accountability. So please do not sit far away from this country, because I tell people, in my entire life, I've only spent, the most I've spent outside of Nigeria is 3 months. And that's when I went to do a course in California for photography. I've traveled everywhere, but nursery, primary, secondary, university, and life itself, like 30 plus years of being in Nigeria, has been in Lagos, not even outside Lagos, in Lagos. So I know from the, I know the human psychology from the grassroots up. So we are done asking for accountability. It's been 60 years. Moving forward now is taking over. The youth getting involved, because we have shown them how it works. It worked for 12 days. And why did it end? It was making them look bad. So please do not sit there and say we need to demand for accountability. No, we are done. We are way past that. We are way past asking the government to be responsible. Say, oh, is the government's responsibility to educate the people? We are done. My grandfather is 89. If you saw any videos, Whiskey posted his picture on his Instagram. My grandfather is Professor Duncan, 89 years old. He was on the protest ground. He fought in the Civil War. He's still protesting the same damn thing. So don't come and tell us what we need to be doing is asking for accountability. Nah, G, nah. Don't even piss me off. We are done. We are done. We spent 12 days on this. I left my job. I'm the CEO of 2 companies. I sit on 3 boards. I left my clients. I said, do not even disturb me.
They're trying to start it up. Casey boy, just
the same way. The same way. And I'm building business. I'm like, look, what's the point of building a business in this country when there's no future? When I might get shot. So I'm done. I'm done. They don't care. They send weapons to us. Like, accountability? Don't. From those 14 women showing. Look, when they did that, men took up arms and took up responsibility. We did the cleaning. We did it so that we don't look like we're a rowdy bunch of people. We don't look like the lazy youth that they call us. We don't look like that. So we're always trying to deviate from the narrative they paint us. We should now go back to chill now. We are forming. We will do what we can do. So if you want to help, we're educating the people on why it is insane to go and burn the BRT buses in your states when it is your tax paying for it. Nobody told them the BRT belong to them, because in their mind it's government property. Nobody told them. Nobody has told them that when they get to the zebra crossing, it is their right to walk on it. Nobody has told them. Nobody has told Danko driver to stop. Nobody has told them. And we should want me the same government to tell them. It's time for us to rise up. If the middle class does not do the due diligence of educating the grassroots, they will keep using them against us. They don't want to be accountable. Then leave it. Just leave it. Let's enter. Let's infiltrate. Let's get to work.
Thank you. Honestly, I like the passion, because at the end of the day, what next? And you rightly put it, if they don't want to be accountable, let them move out. Let the youth take over. We have, I mean, you said it, 14 women, the feminist group, everything transparent. They were able to feed multitude. It's at some
14
point,
women. How much more 140 million youth?
exactly. It felt
14.
like, at some point, it felt like when Jesus was feeding multitude with 5 loaves of bread. And these things were transparently done. And we also saw when the government moved in to try to block the channel of donation, and it's also very laughable. It's also very laughable to note that even the government never understood what Bitcoin was.
So, I tell people that look, the protest, we didn't lose anything. What we have just done is that look, the government now has only two choices. You either kill all of us or you get to work. Because come 2023, we are going to arrive at the polls. Because by the time the people have seen that their COVID palliatives were kept for God knows what, and I mean, over the few days, everybody's going to realize that election is coming soon because we have LGA in Lagos coming up at the end of the year. So the people are now realizing it's like a hope. Like,
Thank you very much, Demilode.
We know where we're going.
Sure. I mean, I agree with you. I think you get to a point. I think there are some actionable deliverables as actually that ought to be done or that will be done, because someone said, does that mean that the protest is finished? I think my perspective is the protest isn't finished. What probably has happened is that location has shifted. Now it's no longer on the streets, but it's still taking place. It's taking place somewhere, and that place that it takes place, sorry, the government doesn't have control of it. So, Amaka, can you please, when we talk about what next, you unmute yourself, please, Amaka. When we talk about what next, the people, all the sufferings, the effort you people left. Again, Demilade said that he sits in two boats. I mean, he is an entrepreneur. He's someone who is busy. So when people think that actually these are people who doesn't do anything, they have no job, that's why they're able to go there. I think, Emeka, before you say what next, I would want you to tell the viewers, what is it that you do actually? Because people will be looking at a young lady there talking about driver, and they will be thinking, who is she? Is she the daughter of, I don't know, but just, what's your background, Amaka?
I read law and I'm a hospitality consultant.
Okay. See? So now, when we talk about what next?
And I also do real estate as well.
Sorry, you also do what?
Real estate as well.
Okay.
So you're asking a question, like, honestly, I'm boiling. I'm really, really boiling, because you see, the past 12 days has been an eye-opener. And we did not just go there to dance and play. It was also a bit of education, because most of these people that came to the protest ground that didn't really understand the point, we're able to understand that our problem are our leaders. If this protest is not about ending SARS. It's not about ending SARS, because if I know some people saw my interview on the tele when I was talking about it, it's not about ending SARS. It's about the bad governance. And since they don't want it anymore, no problem. We should just take it from them. They have their guns, but we have something, because this is destined to happen. No matter what, it is destined to happen. Everybody just woke up at the same time. So it is destined to happen. You cannot quench it. There's what is called destiny, and it's divine. So you cannot quench it. You can't quench this thing now. The best thing, I don't even know who advised these people. I don't know who advised them for you to go. Most times I'll be like, well, these people, You are analog. You don't know nothing. These people cannot even press phone. Who advised you, for crying out loud? Who advised? Most times I'll just be like, what is wrong with these people? Who advised? I don't know. You will just go and carry gun. We came into the midst of people, peaceful people. We have departments for the mobile toilets. Don't do anything for us. We did not ask you nothing. Just the right to leave. For us to just leave. That is the only thing that we are asking you. There is this department for lost and found. If anything gets lost, you hand it over. Nobody got robbed there. Anybody that was robbed, nobody was robbed. If you lose your item, definitely you will see it there. So I don't understand. They went to get thugs. They will beat the thugs. They will take the thugs to the hospital, educate the thugs. The thugs will come back to the protest and join in the protest. Now you thought of all things you could think is for you to just go there and start killing these people. I don't understand. You try to use curfew. Okay, the curfew, they said they are not harmful. They are not destroying anything. They are peaceful. We are sitting there. You think all the thing you can think of, go and shoot these people. I don't understand this. You see, the truth of the matter is just that everybody, most of you that are not in Nigeria, I've stayed out of Nigeria, I've lived there, and I still love Nigeria. Nothing stops me from carrying my bag and run away the way other people is running. But what's the point? Where are we all running to? If you run away from Nigeria, definitely you will come back here. This is your country. This is where you live. The cost of I saw one senator the other day. He was saying I wanted to attack him because if he's earning 200,000 naira, there is no way he will be there. I call all of them career politicians. You see nobody that's doing nothing. All of a sudden, the person comes out to be a local government chairman. He owns the world. These are career politicians. They don't have nothing. They don't even go to school. They don't know anything. They don't know about that the world is going global, that the world is digital. That's why a policeman will come and stop you on the road. They don't know what phone is all about and be asking you for receipts of your phone. They don't even understand all these things. They don't understand that you can work, do everything, all your businesses with just holding your phone. They don't understand all these things because they don't go to school. They are not educated enough. Now, people are coming out to tell the government to look into the welfare of the police, to reform, to make sure that you have your health insurance, you have a lot of things. Now, you people, as stupid as you are shooting those people and telling them that you like your life the way it is. And you're telling me that these people are normal. I don't even understand this whole thing. So if somebody is now inciting that the problem you have is outside Yoruba, it is not. Because even if Biafra, you go, Oduduwa, you go, if you do not root out this problem, it will still be there. It will still get worse. So there is unity. The love I saw there on that protest, it's unimaginable. I can't even believe it. So since they have decided that they don't want to listen to us, again, they cannot kill all of us. Except they want to be governing only themselves. They cannot. But for now, we want to rest. Let them finish all their madness, all their craze, all the whole brouhaha, everything. Let us just allow them. The fight now is with your brains and with the internet.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mazi, is like
okay, go ahead.
You asked. It's no longer protest. Like I said, when governor called the curfew, I preached, look, it's best to respect the governor and obey the curfew. And the same thing with the president. He says no more protests. That they're going to look into it. They're going to look into the increase of police their salary. So even though as disheartening his speech was, I always like to look at the things that, okay, they have answered at least the salaries of police and that kind of thing. But now we have realized the kind of people we're dealing with. And
they should go, no, the police go and fight for themselves. We are not fighting for them again.
It's no longer protest now. It's now action. The demands that we are demanding from these guys come. If 14 women can do this in 12 days, how much more 140 million of us in 3 years? You can't stop that kind of movement. especially when you can't even see it.
You know, I was telling someone, Demilade, I was telling someone, you know the power the youth have. Now, in Nigeria, I think the Nigerian Twitter user is about 13 million or thereabout. Now, if the average person contributes only 500 naira, I know, if
I know that math too. I know that math too.
if
We've done
you
that math
honestly,
together.
because 500, just mere 500 naira, 10 million people bring that 500 naira together, managed transparently, that's 50 billion, mate. With that, tell me which force on earth that can match that with the zeal. Because again, and when majority of the stuff will be pro bono, right? If website is done, we have developers who can say, okay, guys, let's stitch this thing together in 5 minutes. Like the NSAS website that was done within a couple of hours. And all the pictures, all the videos, all the, just if anything you want to know, real time, you just click on it, it's on. Now, and this is a generation that can sit down and say, hey, Siri, turn on the music. I want to play Bob Marley. Siri does that. You're not touching your phone. You're not touching any equipment. Yet a generation that struggles to even open an Outlook on their desktop without punching it, or a generation that punch their telephones, screen telephone, as if they want to break it, will be deciding the future for the generation that really, like Amaka said, run a whole business on their smartphone. You have your store, you sell, you dispatch, you take payment from your smartphone. And someone sees you and thinks, okay, this phone, I can see these transactions, they are Yahoo, Yahoo. Again, the reason why the person is saying that, he apparently doesn't understand what e-commerce is all about. So, and you ask yourself, how could people who are in this stage run things? And I believe this, no matter how we think about it, 2020 has been a year that the tide has turned. And I believe it's not going to be the same again. Now, way forward, I will get Lady Marlene to talk. But before she does, I have some points that I would think that we need to think about. Yes, the protest has moved away from the streets. It's basically stopped on the street. Rightly so. It must also stop in order for mop up and clean up to happen and for sanity to return. If not, there will be a total breakdown of law and order. However, this protest can actually move on to set what I call countdowns for the government. If we say you want to reform SAS XYZ, that's going to be 30 days. Let's mobilize every people on IG, on Twitter, anywhere, right? So every day we tweet the countdown. After the 30 days, because you'll be aware, you have the police handle, you have the president handle. Every day he's been bombarded. This is day 28, this is day 27, this is day 26. So they are on notice on what is happening. On the last day, there's zero. We want an update on this item. Failure to do so, be ready to see that the people will hit the street. Because somehow, we must get to a point where it's no longer business as usual. Something must give way. You must actually, we cannot continue this way. Honestly, we cannot continue this way. On that note, I'll be bringing Lady Marlene. Can you now, you have the floor to speak, please, Lady Marlene.
Good evening,
Go ahead.
everyone.
You have 2 minutes.
My name is my name is Lady Marlene Onyacha. I'm in United Kingdom. I'm the CEO of Prime View Television here in London. I must say, Mazia, I must congratulate and say thank you so much for this forum you created throughout this period. But as a mother and as a PR personnel and as, should I say, a TV personality. It worried me so much with the kind of news we got coming up from Nigeria. But my biggest worry is everything was peaceful. It's like a question, and it's like a question that I don't have answers to. I've been asking myself right from the 1880s has been going on. I cried, I did a video, cried, did everything on it. I still don't have answers to these questions. If something so beautiful that the youth was doing, the peaceful protest they were doing, at what point was it hijacked? Because I listened to Tinubu today, this morning, freely talking about how he's still Jagaban, how he's still in Nigeria, in Lagos, nonchalantly, and I must say that, how he's still in Nigeria, and how he finished asking himself questions and went to the governor to go and discuss and ask one or two questions. But looking at him, it was like it was no big deal. Lives were lost, and still people are still being killed. Is it the, I'm sorry to say this, I am Igbo. I am so upset with the way Nnamdi Kanu spoke throughout this period. I am completely upset about the way he was on air every day, instigating certain mayhaps. That's what I call it. My question now is, after all this is done, because I know Nigeria is not going into anarchy, if that's what they think. The government is completely zero. The policing is zero. Changes, I believe, because I believe we're entering into new Nigeria, whether we like it or not. This is a new phase of Nigeria, because things can never be the same again. But my question is, who are we pointing fingers at? And how are we going to handle this thing eventually? Because it will be a shame. All this happened, lives were lost, and we're still where we are. Like I heard somebody say, I didn't quite join early, but I heard somebody say the protests will still go on. We can protest from now forever. If we don't achieve the aims of these protests, it's still like zero. So my question is, are we going to change strategy in the way we protest? Because right now, nobody's also accepting, pointing fingers at who killed, who ordered to shoot, or who killed and whatever. My biggest worry is, where are we and where are we heading to? And I must say, I support the youth.
Now, thank you.
Mas, you're going to say something.
Yeah, thank you, Marlene. There is an Igbo adage that says, if you want to hear the sound of the dead, you must put your ears close to the ground to hear the whispers of the ants. Now, what that means is very simple. A lot of conversation has been ongoing. Again, for you to understand the conversation, I would align it with what the two speakers said before. They are talking among themselves. They are discussing. Strategy has been changed, but this strategy is not for the aged. So many people probably wouldn't even know the conversations they are having. Some of us are able to, garner what is actually happening, that there is a change in music. That means the dance step has also changed. So in that view, the protest it's off the street. But Demilade talked about WhatsApp group that they've created for themselves. They've created platforms. I know one they have on what's it called? Not Instagram, Telegram, right? So they are talking and they are communicating among themselves. But sadly, again, that is shut out by those who do not even understand how Telegram or other groups work. So to your question, and the answer to your question is yes, a lot is happening. But again, I can tell you free of charge, there is a change in strategy. On that note, I will bring in Adabuzo. Adabuzo, please, can you make your intervention very quick? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mazi. I appreciate this platform, and I must say commiserations to everyone who was involved one way or the other, the victims and the families. My condolences to every one of you. Having listened from the beginning, I joined quite early. Having listened and having heard what happened, and comparing with what others say, what I've seen on other platforms, I understand those who were killed. Majority of those who were killed, I wasn't there. Things I heard, and I've seen clips here and there. At the toll gates saga, I understand the bodies were taken. You know, I know my sister Amaka that spoke earlier said the lady who was video calling with her, they haven't heard from her again. They haven't seen her. The phones are not working anymore, not going through anymore. Where the body is taken, because I have a lady who said, oh, I think the nephew died. That one is going around here in London. If the friends did not pick his body, his wounded body, he would have been among those taken away by SARS. You know, the ones that they killed, did they take them? And if so, what are they doing with the bodies? Because the rumors going around is, oh, the SARS and their cohorts, they picked the bodies of the victims, those that they shot, so that it would look like nobody was killed. It sounds very funny. I don't know how true that is. So what I want to understand now is, did that really happen? And if so, why not return the dead bodies to the families so they can give their sons or daughters a burial? That's what I want to add to that.
Thank you very much.
Generally, what is happening is that. All right, thank you, Mazi. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I think Demilade, obviously at the beginning I asked you if you know about anyone that died, and the same I've posed to Amaka, and I don't know if you were able to, maybe from the things you've heard from those that know someone, I don't know. It might not necessarily be someone close to you or that you know, but maybe someone within your group that knows someone. I don't know. What's your take on her question?
Like I said, everyone, all the volunteers I worked with. Wait, who you are?
No, go ahead. After you, then Amaka would. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said at the beginning of the call, all the volunteers that I worked with are all accounted for. I wasn't on the ground, and if you're asking me the question, I will ask you back the same question: is it true that the army carted dead bodies away? I don't. Like I said, asking those questions and waiting for an answer, it's I don't know. It's, for me, it's another Nigerian folklore, like what happened during the Alu 81 protests. I was at the Occupy Nigeria protest. That one didn't turn out violent. So everything just ends up being in Nigerian folklore. Like this morning, somebody reminded me of the Keda bomb blast cantonment happenings. Till today, we don't know how many people died. We don't know whether these questions to me are just like, if you keep asking them, you're just going to keep getting frustrated.
Okay.
I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Thank you very much, my brother. Amaka, what's your take on that question?
Well, just like I said, I heard. I don't know if they carried the body, but the one I'm sure is that I cannot reach girl anymore. So I don't know anything after that. So the people that were also there, when I asked them if, yesterday I asked them if they would want to join this, they accepted. Then all of a sudden today, they told me that they are scared and they don't want to come. So they don't want to get involved anymore. So I don't know. That's just
Okay.
it. And asking these questions, because in Nigeria, it's as if it did not happen.
Mm.
What is the way it is now? If the president could come out and just leave, didn't say nothing about the incident that happened on the toll gate, and he started talking about famine, getting, if you come out, don't take us, we are weak, talking about other things, and you left the major thing that happened in your, if you can, then that means it's clearly it did not happen. So I believe that people are also scared at the moment. So I'll only say the ones I know. I don't know about the other ones.
So I can see. Okay, thank you very much. Before we go, I think Irede Jones Ola wants to say something. But Ola, if you want to speak, use the device to raise hand in the Zoom call. You are lucky that I just saw your hands raised. That's why. If not, I would have.
I've been raising. I've been
Just
raising
one.
the. I've been raising the hand for the whole day.
Well, I said it. You can use the technology. See, that's what we said. It's analog. You guys are trying to control the young ones that understand what it is.
I hear you. Okay, nice one. Thank you, Mr. Mazi, for giving me this opportunity to speak in on the platform. I have so much to say, but I will just cut it to three. I pick it up from the current conversation. I think as at this moment, the people who are behind the protest per se, no matter what said is leaderless, I'm sure there must be some active member who are major stakeholders of the meeting. By now, should create a kind of online digital platform whereby you can have detailed particulars and account of what exactly happens at the toll gate. I believe that at this moment, you can't rely on government to do investigation for you. But thank God, the stakeholders in this conversation are enlightened people, are educated people. They should just go behind it or independently go and collate every particulars you have on the incidents. And at the end of the day, by the time you turn it out, we'll be able to see how anybody can refute it. Because I think if we all agree on one thing, internationally, every panel, every court of justice work on evidence. So we must be able to get our evidences. If we are not able to get our evidences, ramble up talks will not do the judgment. Okay. Because I expect if we are able to articulate these incidents, all the culprits should be able to bring to the competent court of justice, which is the people.
Okay. So
I stop on that.
May I ask you a question? Okay. Have you visited the nsars.com? Do you know about it?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
So because it's always, when we throw about that, it appears they are leaderless, they're not doing, they should have done this, done that. Honestly, I think I'm personally, I within the IT industry, but when I look at what these younger chaps have done, I'm blown away, honestly, with the level of details. And I would endeavor to encourage everyone here, if you want to really understand, see across the nation, pictorial videos, tweets, commentaries, go to that nsars.com. It's a very comprehensive. I mean, the other day, before I knew about it, I saw Madam Obi Ezekwesili made a tweet, if someone could quickly do something like that. And that was when it popped up. Oh, madam, what you're talking about has been done. This is it. And I went in to have a look and I'm like, wow, this is happening. On that note, I will say thank you, everyone, for joining this conversation. I mean, for those who are watching us and who were involved who feel that they cannot speak up. For those of you who are also on this Zoom conversation but still don't want to talk because you think you don't want to show your face, that your life is threatened, know one thing. Yes, there are, we understand how you feel. And if there is any way you think, if you're traumatized and you think, you might need help, you can reach me at mazezoke at gmail.com. That's MAAZIEZEOKE at gmail.com. Or you could tag me on my Twitter handle, that is at mazezoke as well on Twitter. The only reason I'm saying this is I have spoken to people also who the experiences they had in Lekki was so traumatized that they didn't want to talk, and they are dealing with it in their own way. But in most cases, it's not enough to deal with that alone if you want to speak to someone, or if you think you might need a therapy. I'm not promising, but I can see what can be done to see how we can organize help. And there might be some doctors, some psychologists that might also watching this, willing to offer their services pro bono. Obviously, from the conversations this afternoon, it is very clear. As Demilade said, when they came in there, they were all demanding to be alive. They were all humans. There was no Igbo, there was no Hausa, there was no Yoruba, there was no Efiki, Bibio, or whatsoever. They all saw themselves as one. There was no class. There was no upper class, middle class, or lower class. To the point that even those you may consider the lower class were so overwhelmed and kind of thought, oh, when we see on the fresh, we don't know say on the equally they suffer waiting we they suffer. And that statement is very, very heavy, because one thing that we have to all know, one thing that is very clear, in this mess, we are in it together. It doesn't matter your class. Suddenly, we have seen in some part of this country, those that built high walls with security men, and yesterday when their houses were raided, there was no wood, those security men couldn't help you. Their houses were raided, property scattered away by those they have inadvertently made poor by their bad choices of actions, by not speaking up when it mattered. Again, as long as we have an army of poor people in the society, no rich man would ever feel safe. Therefore, again, I say to the government, enough. I have never seen around the world a government that would, or a father that would hurt its own children. It is unbelievable. The government, please, now that you have accepted that this 5-point demand is okay by you, there must be timeline attached to those 5 points. You must begin to speak to the youth. Most of these younger ones, when they study, they teach them project management. These are deliverables and timelines. Some of them understand what it means to talk about work breakdown structure, in short, WBS. Meaning, if you say you're going to do A, this is the timeline that this task must be done. This is when we have to complete this. This is what is lacking. It's no longer excuse that, oh, this government has its own style. No. Governance is like mathematics. If you put 2 to 2, it must come to one answer. It must be 4. It couldn't be, oh, you put 2 plus 2. Oh, sometimes you get 3, sometimes you get 4. No, 2 plus 2 must come to a particular answer that is for. Therefore, the government must also do something, and they do it quickly. We have an army of poor people. This has shown that. This has shown that. When it started, many people were jubilating. This protest is not happening in the north. In the north, oh, it's only a southern thing. But the issue of palliative has shown that every part of this nation is vulnerable. We have, everywhere, east, west, north, south, so vulnerable. And those of you that drive big SUVs, those of you that policymakers, decision makers, you are not also safe. The only thing that can make you safe is to begin to listen to the people, attend to their needs. And I ask this question. The question is very simple. There is limit to wealth accumulation. What is it? You, senator, watching me now, you from the presidency watching me now, what is the legacy you are going to leave when you die? What will you be remembered for? Cast your mind back. We have senators, we had presidents. They've all come, they've all gone. What were they remembered for? There are people that today, when you mention their name, people will say, Tufiakwa. Would you want to be remembered as such? When people talk about SARS, on this platform, I have interviewed a woman, Mrs. Okeke from Anambra State, a woman who lost her son, the only son that she had. What was his crime? Nothing. And today, Lutana does not have justice. Lutana was killed in November 2019. What was Lutana's crime? That he was about to go to work. He worked with Anambra State Environmental Services. On his way to work, he was arrested. He was confused. But they say the sad part here is that Lutana was shot. When he was shot, according to the mom, the police, the SARS, what they call OC SARS, that shot him, said, oh, he wanted to run. But when they looked at where the gun penetrated from, it was from the front. The question was, how come, if he was running, he was running away, how come suddenly a gun came from the front? Then you ask yourself, why? And his reply was that he's sorry, eventually, that Lutana was arguing with him. Can you see that? That means Lutana Okeke lost his life. Lutana is only one case from thousands of people that have lost their lives. And why did that keep happening? Suddenly it appears that SARS is that cat with 9 lives. Suddenly it appears that SARS from 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, every single year it dies and it resurrects. Yet nothing happens. It's time to call this a quit. Again, the campaign, or rather the protest, End SARS, has absolutely not only to do with SARS. It's about the social injustice happening in this nation called Nigeria. It is getting worse, and the people, our younger ones, have come together across the nation to say enough. Because look at how that spread like wildfire. When you talk about police brutality, they are the ones that were at the receiving end, and it hasn't stopped. Even as of last night, people were still talking about how they were brutalized on Friday, just 2 days ago, after we all seen what happened in the whole nation. And it appears they are not learning. Even the police, please, I'm using the opportunity to call on you. Can you be human to those that pay your salary? Yes, we know the salaries you receive and they're not enough. But the reason why these children are on the street is just to protest for your salary, for you to be treated right. It is honestly not happy. Nobody who has a right thinking sense will be happy that you, the police officer, standing on the street, on the sun, in rain, you do not have any life insurance. If anything happens to you, your families. We saw them in this protest. People were saying, when my dad died, we were thrown away from the barracks. That means your family is also on the street. But this has to change. And thank God for those that were behind this protest. And thank God for your testimonies that you have said these protests that you all were part of had nothing to do with ethnicity. And those that think that you've been using your old trick to divide Nigerians, enough, and your game is up. Your game is up. Repent and move away from your old ways. People, thank you very much for joining this conversation once more. And Amaka, if you're still there, I will say, can you please say your final words? And Ademilade, you can do the same, then we'll call it a day. Thank you very much.
Oh, Mazi, give us space.
Ademilade, can you go on, please? Okay, Amaka,
final words would be, it's been 60 years and 15 or 16 days now, and enough is enough. Where our leaders can let us enjoy the rest of their years in power, and please, they should just try and do the right thing and leave a good legacy for their name, so that we can remember some semblance of civilization that they did for us, going out or to the end of the power or their regime or whatever time they call this now, because it's been 60 years and 15 days. But yeah, enough is enough. We are one voice, we are one nation, and they have just helped us awaken the nation building in all of us, in our mind and in our hearts. So Nigeria is going to be great. The change has come.
Thank you very much. Amaka, your closing remark. Thank you.
I will say that I plead with every Nigerian, regardless of your tribe, regardless of your religion, that we are one. And in unity, we can achieve a whole lot. In unity, we can build a better country, because Nigeria is our home, no matter how we say it. And I plead and I ask for peace. I'll keep saying that. I ask for peace. In peace, we will understand and hear our voice. Let us come together to rebuild the shambles left of our nation. To our leaders, this life is a journey, and everybody have their purpose in life. And let your purpose not to be to destroy God's plans for this world. Allow us to change Nigeria. Give us the opportunity to bring a better Nigeria. You may be by the side to give us advices, but please do not quench and snuff out life from the future of Nigeria, because you're killing the future of Nigeria. Stop snuffing life out of us. I also send a message to the Nigerian police force. We love you. We love you. We thank you for all you have been doing. We fought for you in this, because we need not only, we're not talking about our life only, we are talking about you as well. We need you people to be inclusive. Your welfare is important, because you give a lot, you give your life in duty. So we are not fighting you. And my last word would be, please, let us still come together and embrace peace and love. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that closing remark. On this note, I will say thank you once more, everyone, for joining. It's been a very eye-opening session that we have had today. Now, in closing here, I have an appeal to make. those on the street, those destroying properties, please stop. These properties you destroy, we will still be the ones to pay for them to be repaired. We talk about lack of infrastructure. Please, I beg of us, we need not to destroy the little one we have. On that note, I will say once more, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being part of this conversation. You have a wonderful day. Thank you.